Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the Asian Racing Federation and the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia for the opportunity to present today. My presentation will address how racing is adapting to the ever-changing landscape of corruption and how integrity teams are meeting those challenges head-on. And I'm just looking for a clicker, which does not appear to be here, so just bear with me. Thank you, sir. Since horse racing began, the lure of competition and the attached benefits to that competition have pitched those who regulate the sport against those who choose to operate outside of the rules of racing and the laws of the land. In any enterprise, whether it be racing or otherwise, nefarious activity reaches different thresholds, from the most basic of non-compliance to the very top end. Advanced technologies are being utilised and measures of deceit are constantly being employed to influence the outcome of race results while subverting detection and the significant penalties which are attached to corruption cases. In order to meet the challenges associated with identifying and prosecuting corrupt behaviour in the sport of racing, stewards have been and continue to be charged with the responsibility of regulating the sport. The purpose of this regulation was and remains to encourage and ensure compliance with the rules, to protect the integrity of the contest, to deter non-compliance and identify malpractice in the industry, and to remove from the sport any person who seeks to corrupt it. The appointment of stipendiary stewards alone has served racing very well over this sustained period, but in order to meet advancing challenges, the regulatory functions of the sport have required adapting. These challenges include, but are certainly not limited to, the ever-increasing illegal and unregulated betting markets which operate behind the curtain of anonymity, evolving betting markets including cryptocurrency transactions where money can be made by knowledge of a horse that may not win rather than having to decide on the horse which is the likely winner, the grooming of people in the industry who may be vulnerable and or naive, which renders them highly susceptible to the influence of others, the relentless pursuit of a chemical advantage, and the simple desire to beat the system, to make a dishonest $1.05 rather than an honest dollar. In order to meet these challenges, racing authorities around the world have adapted their systems of regulation to complement the work of stewards, with more encompassing and diverse integrity departments, complex betting analysis expertise, and systems which are able to effectively monitor illegal and unregulated betting sites, with investigative experts capable of establishing patterns of behaviour which are to be successfully prosecuted along with the assistance of legal experts, by using technology to process large data that highlights trends and patterns which may not be discernible to personnel poring over reams of information and numbers. The positive interaction between racing authorities and law enforcement agencies to ensure that corrupt behaviour is identified and penalised to the fullest extent, and by laboratories whose testing and analysis capabilities lead the world in the detection of illicit substances for the purpose of influencing the outcome of a contest. These various departments and facilities have significantly advanced the regulation of the sport and have all played a critical role in detecting and prosecuting horse racing corruption cases over recent years. These corruption cases have highlighted the success of utilising the collective skills and expertise of encompassing integrity departments, the application of leading edge technologies, the detection of illicit substances in samples, and the effective partnership between racing and law enforcement agencies. A case in point is a corruption investigation that was brought to finality last year and which involved race fixing on an industrial scale in Australia. 2 jockeys instructing a professional punter on the likelihood of horses being beaten, horses not being permitted to run on their respective merits, a laundry list of races which were polluted by jockeys not riding their mounts to advantage, a betting success rate which made the operation a highly successful one, and a great deal of damage inflicted on the reputation of racing. As was widely reported, the elaborate scheme involved access to burner phones, the use of fake names, an encrypted messaging service, and third-party betting accounts, all of which were designed to deceive. But the purpose of the elaborate scheme was very simple: win money by ensuring that horses lost. The case highlighted not only the scrutiny of each race by the stewards and betting analyst experts, but also the benefits of the use of predictive modelling as to where horses may have been expected to settle in their respective races, the imaging of telephones, the analysis of betting accounts, and the highly successful prosecutions which led to penalties of over 13 years disqualification for one jockey, 10 years disqualification for another, and a person being warned off for 10 years. General and specific deterrence in operation by racing authorities. Then there is the case of a jockey deliberately preventing a horse from competing on its merits in Britain. We will hear about that case in more detail shortly from another speaker, but it involved the purposeful and premeditated stopping of a horse for financial gain by a young jockey who was clearly ripe to be manipulated. Racing has endured under the very simple philosophy that a horse race should be conducted on the basis of it being a fair contest, and that each competitor is pitched against another on as equal a terms as possible, with the best horse in the race under the particular circumstances being the victor. This matter, which involved the racehorse Hilson, is a case which illustrates the constantly evolving approach to regulating the sport over the years. Whereas once the attention was almost solely on reactively identifying and prosecuting breaches of the rules, there is now a more holistic view taken by authorities, which involves education, prevention, and safeguarding of the young and vulnerable, and indeed the not so young but still vulnerable, in order to prevent corruption occurring. Another case involved the systematic doping of multiple racehorses with an anabolic steroid, which influenced the outcome of races. It involved the detection of a prohibited substance in a hair sample taken from the racehorse He Knows No Fear, 1 year after it was successful in a race in Ireland at odds of 300 to 1, and which resulted in 12 horses in the stable all testing positive to the same anabolic steroid, following a stable raid conducted by authorities in collaboration with government agencies. Following a complex and wide-ranging investigation, a penalty of 3 years disqualification from the sport was imposed on a prominent owner, with the case demonstrating the collective worth of multiple agencies, all combining to ensure a successful outcome being achieved for the sport and those who support it. The maximum security case is one which ties together a raft of complex and multi-layered investigative and disciplinary processes, which eventually led to a cross-jurisdictional disciplinary action and the systematic doping of racehorses being detected, with those responsible and gaining from the chemical abuse of animals being eradicated from the sport. The case involved an FBI investigation which centred on the administration of substances to racehorses, including maximum security. The investigation ultimately led to the trainer of the horse being imprisoned for 4 years, but also led to a racing disciplinary process in another country. As a result of the collaborative approach of the Jockey Club of Saudi Arabia and law enforcement agencies, Maximum Security was disqualified from its win in the 2020 Saudi Cup, despite there being no post-arrival or post-race positive test reports. This case highlights the significant benefits of regulatory limbs such as stewards, legal practitioners, veterinary and analytical experts, all working in tandem to arrive at an outcome for the sport of racing which previously would not have been possible to achieve. It also highlights just how critical it is for, in certain circumstances, racing authorities to work cheek and jowl with law enforcement and government agencies to achieve positive outcomes. It is about racing meeting the challenges of corruption in the sport head-on and acting to ensure that racing operates in a fair and transparent manner so that racing continues. It supports the ongoing social licence of racing, safeguards the welfare of horses, and engenders confidence in the regulation of the sport, which has shown the way in many regards for other organisations on maintaining the highest levels of integrity. Racing survives on confidence. Without integrity, there can be no confidence, and without confidence, there is no support. And without support, there is no industry, no sport. High levels of integrity result in increased confidence, which means a sport which will continue to thrive well into the future. Thank you very much.